we've come to realize that when it comes to video ideas, there are two types of people. The first group are those that just overanalyze the video ideas way too much.
That's me. And there are people who could probably spend a little bit more time analyzing.
Yeah, I might be a little guilty of that.
If you're an overthinker, like this video.
Thumbs down for the underthinkers. Come on guys, let's unite.
You have probably heard it said that you should make 100 bad videos. We don't really agree with that. I think you can learn a lot faster than just making 100 terrible videos and then beginning to analyze at that point. But if you are in your first 10 videos, so if you are between 0 and 10 videos, you probably don't want to think about it too much because it's a waste of time, especially for video ideas.
We totally agree that it's good to have this learning period on your channel. I just don't think it needs to be 100 videos. There's so much that you can learn in your first 10 videos. And so we think of this stage as just, we called it the just learn, don't overthink it stage. Just put out videos. If there's an idea that comes to your mind, just make it.
Yeah, there's a difference there. It's small, but there is it's small but giant.
It's small, but it's really, really big.
Yeah, there's a difference there. So some people say to just post 100 videos and then they think that that means don't even try to make them better. You can try to make them better, but don't let that stop you from moving forward and learning along the way.
Okay, so there's a few guardrails here for the video ideas. The first one is you just want to make sure that it falls within whatever niche you are planning. Your YouTube channel and your video topic should relate to each other, right? We don't want to have one video that's all about bowling and then another video that's about agriculture. Like that just doesn't make sense. So make sure that your videos stay within your niche. The second thing we would say to watch out for is just to make sure that there are other videos like the ones you are making. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, but go and do a little bit of research. Is this a video that's never been created? If so, why not? Why has nobody else created that video? That could be a really good thing for you. That also could mean that it's not worth creating. By doing this, you're just simply validating the idea to make sure that it's a good idea generally.
I think what you said about a video that's kind of been done in some way before is especially important in the very beginning. Once you've made 100 videos and you kind of understand the YouTube game, you know what you're doing a little more, you can probably have better judgment on if a really unique idea could work. But in the very beginning, if you're not seeing any videos with a good amount of views with what you want to do, there might be a reason that you're just not aware of yet because you're too new. So at first you want to be a little bit more cautious and later on you can get crazy.
Okay, let's move on to the next section. This is the 10 to 30 videos. If you've created between 10 and 30 videos on your channel. This is the one that we're gonna call...
Think of a good name.
This is probably the I suck a little less stage, but you still suck pretty bad stage. I guess we could call it that. This is where you're gonna start using some common sense analysis. What videos that have you done that have gotten more views? Which ones drove more engagement? Which thumbnails seem to work better than others? All of these things kind of tie together to tell you if the video idea that you chose was good or not.
Yeah, you can look at the analytics a bit, but I find that people often in the early stages get too excited about the analytics. And in the early stages, it's kind of surprising how your common sense might actually take you further than the analytics. For one thing, your sample size, the data set is so small. If you only have a few videos, it's really too small to draw any conclusions. So likely your own intuition is going to be more accurate. For example, maybe the click-through rate is really high on one of your videos and you are going to assume that, oh, that's because the thumbnail must have been so much better. So I'm gonna do all my thumbnails like this from now on, when really, maybe it was the topic or the title that was really intriguing to somebody. It's just hard to know in the beginning, so try really hard to use your own judgment and try to just kind of get in the head of the viewer and think for yourself, why did this work? What might have been better about it, instead of trying to draw too many conclusions from the analytics.
Okay, this is probably one of the most exciting stages of your YouTube channel, and here's why. When you are small on YouTube, you can be more nimble about the type of videos you create. If you want to just try something that's a little bit left field, you can do it. And you might actually find that it works. But if you're a really big channel and you have an audience that tunes in every single week, if you try something in left field, it's going to flop really, really hard. There's a lot less for you to lose at this stage. And so you can be excited about different ideas. You can try different styles and formats and find things that actually work really well. On my channel, we just tried a new format of video and our videos are getting like 150 views in the first week on average, but we tried a new format and a new style of video and it got like 20,000 views in the first week. And this is the first time that's ever happened. So it's a really exciting thing. And just because we were able to have a little more flexibility in the type of videos we're creating, we found something that worked really well. And it's still content that we love and we want to create. So now we can kind of weave that into the other content that we really liked creating to build out what our channel is going to look like in the future. The only caveat to this is still do some of that common sense research. Make sure that there are some other videos out there that are similar to the new styles or formats that you want to choose, so you don't end up doing something totally random that just doesn't work and waste your time.
This stage has the potential to be so much fun because I think you're experienced enough to kind of know what you're doing. You're not going to be super frustrated by the camera or super nervous on the camera. You kind of got your toes wet. Is that the term? Probably not. But you aren't like so far into it that you feel pressure from your audience, which we don't want you to ever feel. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I just really like this stage because it's still best to not overthink it. Like really don't overthink it, but you kind of have enough experience to have just enough fun, enough to be dangerous. Okay, next is gonna be between 30 and 50 videos. And here's where you might want to dive a little bit deeper into your analytics because you do have more data to go off of and you can probably start to see more accurate patterns within the analytics themselves.
Okay, that's really important. Patterns. I don't want to cut you off, but that's the key here. A lot of times when you're looking at video by video analytics, it's going to be way less helpful than general patterns on your channel. Okay, sorry, I just had to add that in.
Yeah, definitely. And something that we've been thinking about a lot lately is it's kind of better to look at the big picture of patterns, maybe your best and worst video. We heard that on a podcast recently, rather than trying to look at every single video and draw a million conclusions from a single video. Look at the overall patterns. Temu and cigarettes. Tell us about that, Nathan.
Oh. Okay, so the bullet point that we have in our outline here is, can your idea be marketed well? And I personally believe that nearly every video idea can be a good video idea. I don't know if every video idea in its initial state or form is a good idea, but I think any video idea could be a good video idea if it can be marketed well. So we put Temu and cigarettes here. Temu is basically like Amazon, but there's a lot of very cheaply made products on there, and it's fairly new and a little bit unknown. Recently, they did a huge marketing campaign at the Super Bowl, and they ran like 7 or 8 ads, which would have been like $30 million worth of advertisements. A huge amount of money. Now, the problem is it's pretty well known that they are under investigation for like selling user data. So it's like a very serious thing that they're potentially doing here, but their marketing is so good. Their whole marketing thing was shop like a billionaire. So since their products are so cheap, you can go on and you can buy tons of stuff. And so a lot of people, you can imagine if they can spend $30 million on advertising in one day, that they're probably still getting a lot of people shopping with them. So they are able to market whatever it is they have to offer so well that for many people, it offsets the downside of potentially having their data sold. I may be one of those people, not gonna lie. And for cigarettes, it's the same thing. When cigarettes first came around, it was marketed as something that was cool and social, and it would, like, it just had all these things connected with it that made it feel like the thing to do. And now, many, many years later, how many people are still smoking, even though it's been scientifically proven that it is terrible for you? The marketing was just so good that it kept people smoking. And so I guess that's the concept. If you can nail the marketing and do a really good job with your thumbnail and title, and then the presentation of the video, I think nearly any video idea is worth pursuing.
Yeah, things like that sometimes stick around because maybe they're physically addicting, but we really want to make content that people get value from and are happy that they are frequent consumers of. So we're going to do a combination of that. You need to figure out how to market really well. Unfortunately, you are competing against people that don't have great content out there, and that's not helpful. That's maybe making people's lives worse. It's kind of shocking when I look at how many hours our combined channels have been watched. Like, hundreds of thousands of hours of people's lives, like years, literally years of human lives have been consumed on our content. That feels like a lot of responsibility to make sure it's valuable to them. I don't want to waste people's time. The internet wastes enough of people's time already. I don't want to contribute to that. And you don't either. I'm sure you want to give people something valuable. So you are competing against other creators who may or may not have valuable content, but are also using marketing techniques. It's kind of sad that you can't just have great content. If the packaging isn't good, nobody will ever know about it. It's not really a make it and they will come type of thing on YouTube because there are so many flashy thumbnails and titles. So we're gonna work on combining great content with great marketing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's really the get people to click. That's kind of the first step, but then also retain them. If you do a good job of both of those things, you end up bringing the value that the person comes for. And I think that that's the key there. A few things to watch out for here as you decide what video ideas are good for you or not good for you. Spreadability. Now, I did earlier just say that every video idea is a good idea, and I think in most cases that's totally true. But you need to think about what's the purpose of the video idea. Is the purpose to get a ton of views? Is it to engage your current audience even more? Is it to help them trust you more or to build that connection with them? So as you're going through and trying to pick your video ideas, make sure that the intention of the video idea matches the video idea.
Yeah, I feel like we're talking a lot about, like, if you already have these ideas, how to identify if they're good or not, which is a super important part of the process. But I also just want to touch on like what to do if you feel like you have none at all. Because that's so frustrating and it makes you kind of want to quit completely. What's the motivation to do YouTube if you don't have any ideas or if you've completely run out? So for this, think about a time when you had an idea. If there's ever been a time when you had a video idea that you were really excited about, better if you carried through on the idea and it came together well, even if it didn't get a lot of views, if you were like satisfied personally with the end product, those are the ones you want to look at, okay? Likely your channel is just too small, so it hasn't picked up traction yet. Even if you haven't seen that idea out to fruition, just think about the time that you had a video idea that you really loved, okay? And what went into that process. So often we are so hyper-focused on how can we think of a better idea and what's gonna go viral. And when you're banging your head against the wall like that, it stunts the creative process. The most amazing ideas, whether they're books or stories or anything, art, I don't think it comes from people trying harder to have something original. It doesn't work like that. Usually people come up with original things, I know in my life, this has been true, when I'm just having fun and passionate and excited about something. So think about what your frame of mind was and what the process was when you came up with those good ideas. Was it morning time? Was it evening? Was it a day off? Were you on a walk? Were you maybe at your desk and very focused, and maybe you were just going down a rabbit hole of research that really excited you and you started thinking about, well, what's something that no one's ever tried before? Once you kind of detach from what idea is going to do well, I think our ideas get so much better.
I think that's totally true. And as we talked about channels who have made more than 50 videos, this is really where it lands. I mentioned earlier on that sometimes when your channel gets bigger, you feel like you get pigeonholed in the type of content you create. And that really stunts creativity. It makes it really hard to choose those video ideas that you feel like are going to do well. When in reality, if you just tried to do a video idea that you knew you would love and that it's similar enough to a video you've done in the past that the audience loved before, like, you are just so much more likely to create something that they do like and that you like. I feel like that's the perfect combination. We wrote here, do something that is fun. You know, like, and I know that feels overly simplistic, but at the end of the day, we've heard of so many creators who just get burnt out because they try to create videos that are for the audience, which is good. We do want to create videos for the audience, but they do it to the detriment of themselves. And so they end up in a place where they are only creating the sliver of the type of content that they want to create. And then they get burnt out, they stop publishing. And so rather than doing that, just try and create something that you love. Even if it means pushing the boundaries of what your channel topic is about or the type of content you've done before, you can branch out a little bit. It may be a little bit painful. You know, we've talked about channel pivots on this channel in the past. Like, you may end up needing to do something like that, but just create what you like and look in the past, see what other videos have done well in the past, see which ones didn't do as well. And you can use some of that data to help analyze what the best video idea is in the current state.
Okay, so there might be some exceptions to this. Let's say you've made 50 videos, but it's been 2 years since you've published a video. Or maybe you've started a brand new channel, but you have an old channel where you have made 50 or 100 videos, or maybe you've kind of worked in film in some way. You might be able to skip ahead, or maybe you should skip back to these different levels depending on your experience. I think you probably can intuitively figure out which one you fall into. These are guidelines to give you an idea of where you're most likely to fall based on how many videos you have made, but everyone learns at different paces. Everyone has different starting experience. So don't be afraid to kind of put yourself in a different category depending on where you think you land.
Hello?
Hello?
You are currently insured, correct?
I had a quick question about that.
Sure.
Do you watch YouTube?
Sorry?
Do you watch YouTube? No, they do not.
Okay, pro tip to get rid of scammers, ask them if they watch YouTube.